make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, and all that good stuff. I think this one. I got carried away with a fantastic book. Oh wait, Molly, do we need the text? No, like the God's not real text, or yeah. The other one's totally fine. It's a bit to the left, the text. Whoa. It's M's. Hey, how's it going?
Hello, I'm over 18 and I believe in God, yes.
Yeah. What makes you think God is real?
Your beautiful smile.
Aw. Whoa. Gosh, that was like very persuasive. So persuasive, in fact. The fuck do you...
It would be funny if you changed your title to God is real. Now.
Where's the... I'm just looking for like the phonetic way of saying it. Okay. Ashadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
That was so good.
You don't have to say that.
That was so good for first time.
Aw, thanks. I appreciate it. I tried my best, but you know, it's like I hear Arabic is like particularly unforgiving for English speakers. It's like one of the very difficult ones up there with like Mandarin.
Yeah, so the thing about Arabic is that there's like 12 million words, and like to say the word lion, there's like 200 different words for the word lion.
Is that like is it kind of like a similar deal to like German, where you can start like mixing and mashing words together?
Not really. No, it's more like for example, the letters, they have different like sounds that are attributed to them in the same way that Mandarin does. So, for example, 3 letters, depending on how you sound them, could mean like a billion different things.
Is it a tonal language?
It is tonal, yes.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah, that's brutal. That's actually my I don't know. I did Mandarin in high school, and the one thing that prevents me from being able to use it is because I just can't do the tones. Like my tones are genuinely so bad, and it's weird because it's a dimension of conversation that doesn't exist in English. But if you don't get the tones right in Mandarin, they just straight up can't understand you. You can be saying like all of like the right spellings, but if you have the tones wrong, they don't know what you're saying.
So, for example, like fitr and fatara, those are like this. They're spelled the same, but the tonality, one means fungus and the other means breakfast, or to have breakfast.
Sure. Are the tones the same as Mandarin, or are they like different?
It's mostly like, for example, a, u, i, just 3 main ones, and then you have one that causes the sound to be silent, another that causes the sound to be repeated, another that extends the sound, etc. But the main 3 are like a, u, i.
I see. Maybe that would be because it's like actually like a sound difference as opposed to like and because in Mandarin, for example, it would be like ma, if you wanted to do like the first one, like the high one, and then I always fuck up the other ones, but like ma, where it's like there's like a going down and then like a back up.
Yeah, this is more clear. Like for M, it would be ma, mu, mi.
Yeah. I mean, that still sounds like quite difficult, but Mandarin, like, I don't know. It's like I actually can barely have a conversation about anything in Mandarin because I just don't have like a concept of tones. Like I'm just so bad at it. In fact, there's like some of them that I like basically can't even do unless I like really try.
I'm horrible with languages, so I understand.
I mean, clearly not, right? Like English is your
No.
second language, and it's fantastic.
If I wasn't exposed to it as a child, I would be barely able to hold a conversation.
I see. Did everyone in the place that you're from learn English?
Where I'm from, they all suck at English. I didn't live where I'm from except like when I came to college.
I see. Okay. Damn. Are you like open? Are you like public about like where you like grew up?
So the reason my accent is weird is because I grew up in like 4 different countries. So I grew up a little in the UAE, a little in Oman, a little in the US, and a little in Germany.
Where in the US?
In California and New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Wow. I mean, that's interesting. Must have.
So my accent is all over the place.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you prefer East Coast or West Coast?
The US sucks, so it's just California, and California is too expensive and too hot and boring.
You know, a lot of people in Washington and Oregon would be really pissed right now.
They should be. They're just North California and North California.
Hey, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older, and make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. Let's get the first guest up on in here.
No way.
Do you know this person?
No, from their name, they're Muslim. So that would have been fast.
In and out. It was fast. Yep. Joined up, dropped immediately. Can't blame them. You know, that's how.
Yesterday on, do you know Trust But Verify?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
I was on his panel yesterday, and then a Muslim person, they just, as soon as I came up, they were like, no, I can see it. I'm sorry, I have to go.
Based. That's so funny.
Like, I didn't even get a word in. They just saw me and said, I'm not going to be able to debate him. I can see it. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's like, you just have like aura such that there's, you don't even want to start shit. All right, let's get the next person up on in here. Hey, how's it going?
Fine.
Yeah, how you doing? How old are you?
I'm like 30.
Okay, what religion?
Muslim.
Sure. What's with the Muslims today?
Whoa.
I can say that. I can say that.
Wow, M's really said, go home. Whoa. What makes you think God exists?
Because I think there has to be like a creator and a protector of everything.
Okay, I don't know what you mean by like a protector of everything. I guess like, would you mind like elaborating on that?
Yeah, well, I guess everything is so fragile. If there wasn't a protector, everything would be destroyed by like, chaos rule.
So the idea of like a protector is very odd to me, because if a protector exists, then he's doing like a pretty half-assed job of it. Things like cancer exist. The protector probably would protect against that. Things like earthquakes. There's just a lot of things that it seems like wouldn't exist if there was like some sort of protector.
Well, he's the protector and destroyer.
Is he the cause of cancer?
Yeah, we believe he is.
Do you believe that he's all good?
Well, he's a protector and destroyer, so he can do what he wants. If nobody can judge him.
But do you think that he's all good is my question.
But nobody can judge him.
I'm just asking you if you think that he's all good. Like, do you think he's like morally perfect?
He's the only one who judges, so we can't judge him.
Is that a yes? Is that a no?
No, I don't think he's all good.
So he's not morally perfect?
He's the one who creates standards.
But is he morally perfect?
I said no.
Okay, sure. So then you would deny that he's perfect.
Not necessarily.
So he's not morally perfect, but he is perfect.
And this is you're basing off because people have cancer.
I'm just asking you if that's a correct summary of your position. You're saying that he is perfect, but he's not morally perfect.
He's perfect, however, he deems himself perfect.
Okay, so he could be literally any way at all. He could be, I don't know, like graping babies, and he would still be perfect.
I didn't say he was perfect. I said he's perfect, however, he deems himself perfect. So yeah, it could be any way.
Okay, so if he was graping babies, you'd say that he was perfect?
But he's not. He's creating them.
But if he was,
And
would you say that that's perfect?
I mean, technically,
Well,
his plan includes them being raped. So
well, people have free will.
no, they don't in Islam.
They do in Islam.
No, they don't.
They don't have free will in Islam.
Nope. The Prophet literally curses the Qadariya, those who claim that everything is determined by that everything is determined by free will, and that you're able to do what you want.
Well, that's some beliefs in Islam is that everything's already written.
That
Everything's
is
just
not some
playing
beliefs.
out.
That is the core tenet of Islam. You cannot be a Muslim without. Could you tell me the 6 pillars of faith?
The 6 pillars of faith are that Allah, His messengers, His books, His Allah, His messengers, His books, His decree, and His last day. And
Okay, so it is God, the angels, the messengers, the books, the day of resurrection, and destiny, the good and bad.
I'm sorry, what
So
did you say?
The last of the 6 pillars is destiny, the good and the bad. That everything is destined, and God has destined everything good and bad. So you can't be a Muslim without believing in destiny.
Yeah, right. Destiny is a belief of Islam. Yeah.
Sure, so no free will.
Well, because there's divine will and there's creation will, and they're two different things.
Mm-hmm. But destiny would take away free will.
Right.
So then no free will.
If it was there, so it's free will for you to say there's no free will. It's free will for me to say there is free will.
Why wouldn't that just be what I was destined to do?
Because divine destiny is different from the free will of the creation.
Okay, which things are destined and which things aren't?
Like death is destined, and like how you die could be up to you.
Is up to you? That's not destined? So just the fact that you're going to die is the thing that's predetermined?
Right. And if you decide to jump off a bridge or you decide to play it safe, that's up to you. But it's destined that you're going to die.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I certainly don't disagree with that. But okay, which one do you value more? A grapist's free will or people not getting graped?
Do I have value?
Yeah, which one is more valuable to you?
Sorry, I'm just having one of those days. So what's more valuable to me? Somebody not getting graped or
a grapist's free will? Not just free will, but a grapist specifically is free will.
So if somebody decides to do something so abominable, then they're allowed that decision. But at the end of the day, like they're still destined to be evil.
Do you think that answered my question?
So you're asking me?
I'm asking you to make a value judgment. Which one do you value more? The free will of a grapist or people not getting graped?
That's throwing my mind through loop. I can't answer.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Well, I just want to say that like God is real because He's the protector and He's the sustainer.
Okay, what's the argument that he's the protector? This seems circular. You're just saying like God exists because he exists and protects things.
So, like you exist safely in your home because He's protecting you.
What's the argument for that? That seems circular again.
So you just think you exist safely in your home out of pure chance?
I don't even know, like, safe from what?
Exactly. So you don't know why you exist safely in your home.
I'm asking you, what am I safe from?
From any of the destructive forces in nature.
Like what?
Well, say somebody with free will who could come and attack you.
But I thought God doesn't protect people against others with free will.
You have me there.
Okay. Do you got anything else?
No.
Well, hey, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Yo, I'm going good.
Yep,
How are you?
doing well. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Yep, and what religion are you?
I'm Christian. I'm
Okay.
non-denominational.
Okay, what makes you think God exists?
Well, honestly, I've had my doubts growing up because I was raised in the church, and like growing up, I didn't really understand why we have to praise this guy in the sky. But as my mom used to tell me all the time
Could you get a bit
that,
closer to your mic?
oh, I'm sorry, here, let me just disconnect my headphones.
Yeah. Hello?
Hi?
Yes.
Can you hear me better?
Yep, much better. Thanks.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Okay, so what makes you think God exists?
So my mom used to tell me all the time, like stories of things that happened to her in her life. Um, I'm not gonna really out my mom and her life story yet on here. So basically, in short summary, without giving major details, there's things that happened in her life, like with bad people trying to hurt her, and every time she was still ultimately like the thing still happened, but like there was a weird comforting feeling with either somebody came and helped her, and there was like randomly, like one time I'll share one specific detail. She was being chased by this man after he did something to her in a party, and this old lady came out, and with this old lady came out into the parking lot and basically stopped the man from attacking her, and then she turned to thank the lady and she was gone.
Okay. I mean, I don't
And
really know what to make of that. I mean, okay. There's like a couple of things to say about that. First, I mean, okay, she's at a party. Is this like one that involves things like, I don't know, substances and drinking? Like, it would make sense that your chain of recollection isn't entirely there.
mhm.
Like the old lady
and
may have just walked away, but I don't know,
and
I
then
don't
there
know, it's
was
like memory
and
wiped or something.
that wasn't the only occurrence of that thing happening. There was another occurrence of a guy who helped her, and she went to thank him, and he was gone. Like there's just random occurrences in my life, and not only that, but when I was born, um, I was born. Oh, I don't know exactly the date I was expected, but I was a preemie. I was premature. I was really small. My dad used to tell me he could fit me in the palm of his hands, and it was like I was a little baby doll when I was a kid, when I was an infant, just came out the womb, and she couldn't touch me at all. She was only able to stroke the bottom of my foot with her pinky because any other stimulation would have been detrimental to my life. And people were telling me that I wasn't going to be able to walk, talk, eat, or do anything on my own. Um, like I said, I don't really. I've always had my doubts, but I feel like
Wait, do you know how big you were when you were born?
not exactly. But I mean, I can ask.
How big are you claiming to be? Because okay, there's like one of two things is true.
So if he was the size of the palm of the hand, he wouldn't be. I would say he would be very unlikely he would be viable.
Okay. How long, do you know how long you spent in the hospital after you were born?
I was in the hospital. I want to say like at least 6 to like 7 or 8 months.
Okay. Well, it kind of looks like there
10
was
months.
there were reports of people who were born, and I think they're born like smaller than that. So I'm not sure why I would think that this is like God existing. I mean, okay, what would you make of the fact? Well, first of all, 6, 7, but second of all, what would you make of the fact that like 10 to 20% of of pregnancies end in miscarriage? It's really strange to me that God would preserve your life because he cares about you, but he wouldn't bother, I don't know, bringing to birth all of the miscarriages.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody has their plan, and even after I was born, my mom had 4 other miscarriages. Um, and my mom, it kind of explained it in a weird way when I was a kid, and I didn't understand it. She was like, I mean, it made sense, but it didn't, because like why? But she would tell me, she was like, maybe it wasn't meant for me to have more children. I was only supposed to have this one for some reason. And we don't know that reason, but we have to trust that God. And that's at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's a belief system. And it's weird because a lot of Christians like to deviate from the fact, but at the end of the day, it's just faith. You're just having pretty much blind faith that there's someone out there or this thing out there that's watching over you and protecting you and guiding you through your life.
So riddle this. I think based on what you've told me just now, a conclusion that I might arrive at based on the fact that your mom has had 4 miscarriages, and then you were born prematurely, that would like probably raise my credence in your mom having some sort of medical condition that affects her reproductive system.
I mean, maybe, but there's no proof of that. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't know. She went to go get medically evaluated and nothing came up.
Okay. I mean, that is like certainly statistically strange.
Wait, how would you know? That is not something normally the son of a woman is going to be able to know. That she went to get checked up and the gynecologist told her nothing came up.
Well,
that is not typical for you to know.
That's not typical, yes, but that all ultimately depends on your relationship with your parents.
So your mom just told you randomly that she went to a gynecologist and the gynecologist told her nothing was wrong.
It wasn't random. I was there when she found out she had a miscarriage, so I knew what was
Weren't the miscarriages before you?
No,
or after? Did I misunderstand?
After.
And you were how old?
Like I was around maybe 8 years old, 9.
And I'm supposed to take the history of a patient from their 8-year-old child.
Why would I not? I mean, they told me nothing was wrong, and they haven't lied to me since then. I mean,
I didn't say that they're lying. I'm just saying an 8-year-old is not someone you can trust with history.
Yeah, but don't you think they would have eventually told me the truth, given the fact that I'm 18 years old now?
Again, you don't randomly tell your 18-year-old your gynecological history. That is not a thing that happens. Ian, do you know your mother's gynecological history?
Nope.
I don't.
I don't know a single fact about it.
That varies on circumstance. She doesn't tell me everything that the gynecologist tells her all the time. It was just the one.
The problem is that if your mother is a normal woman who's been through her adult life and has miscarriages, as you said, has gone through delivery, etc., she would have gone to the gynecologist at least a few dozen times, especially during follow-up when she was pregnant with you. I very highly doubt that you know the history the full gynecological history of your mother at 8 years old or even at 18 years old. That is not a typical thing for a child to know of their mother.
Also, I'm not saying that I know everything that the gynecologist.
Sure, but you said the gynecologist said there is nothing wrong.
Like, can I finish?
Of course. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I know everything that the gynecologist told my mother. I only know the instance of the abortion, not the abortions, the miscarriages that she's had.
Abortions is still a correct term medically.
Fine, miscarriages, abortions, but I only know that part because I was there for it. I literally saw her, and I don't think she would have lied. Maybe when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, she wouldn't have lied to me. Me and my parents.
It is not about lying. It is not about lying. A person's medical history doesn't have to be told to you. Number one. Number two, maybe you, like an 8-year-old doesn't have to necessarily understand what is being said to their parent about their medical condition. Number three, again, you have no idea what your mother's medical records are. You can't just come up and claim that, she had nothing was wrong with her and I was just a miracle child. Are you getting pointy in?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm like broadly sympathetic, right? Like I can't imagine, especially if I'm like telling like an 8-year-old, I can't imagine telling like an 8-year-old about like my medical conditions.
And even a 20-year-old, even a 30-year-old, I don't think anybody's mothers randomly comes up to them and tells them, "Oh, my gynecologist found so and so on my cervix exam."
But that's not there. You have no fact to prove that. Like that's just basic. That's pure based on your relationship with your parents and how open you guys are.
Sure. But again, you're claiming as an 8-year-old, you would have been able to understand. Again, you're claiming as an 8-year-old, you would have been able to understand and comprehend a medical conversation between your mother and her gynecologist. Why should I take your word for it when you were 8 years old?
Yeah, I feel like I super wouldn't like. Okay, I can't imagine that I'd be tracking anything if I was sitting there as an 8-year-old.
Once again, that is also maybe just a you thing, and then another thing. And another thing is,
I think that's an 8-year-old thing.
I was like,
no, it's not.
I was too busy like chomping on Legos at the age of 8. Like I'd probably be playing like Pokemon in the doctor's office.
I wasn't doing any of that. That's the thing. People are different.
He was probably studying for ZimCat.
I see. Yeah, of course.
I'm not saying that I was like mega smart, but like my parents, like I had a level of understanding of what happened and what was going on. And then as I got older, don't you think if I didn't understand it and I brought it up again, they would have corrected me and was like, actually, this happened.
No, because it's pointless. It happened 10 years ago, and there's no reason to bring up 10-year-old medical history to your child.
Well, but the thing is, it has been brought up before. Like we have talked about the past.
Why is again the problem that I have is why is your mother's gynecological history a topic of conversation regularly for the family?
It's not a regular. I'm not saying that we always sit down and talk about the miscarriages.
You talk about it.
We've talked about it since I've had the understanding of the concept of medicine. Of modern medicine. I'm not saying we sit down in every family reunion and I was like, oh, remember those times when you had those miscarriages? No, we've talked about it like maybe once or twice since then.
Yeah. And what stage were the miscarriages at?
I don't remember.
Did you hear the doctor classify the miscarriage as anything?
Well, that was 8, no.
Huh?
Yep. That's our point, yeah.
For example, if you were 8 years old and the doctor during conversation mentioned randomly just, for example, he mentioned PCOS, I very highly doubt you would remember the term 10 years later, or that it was significant.
Yeah, but it probably would have came up in our recent talks, though, would it not?
Not necessarily, no.
I mean, I guess, sure.
I'm a doctor and I have no idea about my mother's gynecological history.
Just because you don't doesn't mean nobody else does.
That is not what I said. I'm telling you that is a very odd thing to know.
Yeah, it
And
might
to
be
claim knowledge about it
faith.
to the point. Okay, for us to come to conclusions, we would need to be certain about specific facts. You yourself cannot even be certain upon the facts that you claim to know.
Well, wait, let's just do like a basic test. M15, can you name, I don't know, 15 or no, sorry, not 15. That's ridiculous. I was 3. Can you name 3 conditions that a person can have that would affect their like reproductive system?
Like STDs?
No.
So
You know,
then
Blitz mentioned, or not Blitz, M's mentioned one like PCOS.
then no, I mean I'm not deep into the medical field, but like
Okay, then it just seems like you wouldn't be a reliable person to remember if the doctor did mention like some sort of condition.
That's my point.
I guess, but don't you think my mom would be reliable and she
No.
would be able to clear
Well,
it
wait,
up?
so your mom probably would remember it, but the question
Yeah.
is like, would your mom tell you? Which
And
seems
even
unlikely.
then,
Why
Ian,
wouldn't we?
from experience, patients are not the best at being able to keep up with their history and telling you their history, even when they want to, which is why we have actual records.
Exactly. That's why we have those records, and that's why people have access to those records. So even if she
Do
wasn't
you?
able to call it up, she does. We've talked about it together. If I was like, "Hey, didn't this happen?" and she was like, "Oh no, actually this happened," she could pull up the records and clear it up.
Sure, then you should have been able to tell, like, for example, tell us whatever the doctor has said if your mother has talked to you about it.
I
Like,
mean,
she failed to mention the 1-2 things that should have been mentioned in her
That's what I'm
visit.
saying. Nothing came up. There was nothing. That there was nothing.
so, you know, I'm not saying that your mom like definitely for sure has a condition, but I don't know. Like you should maybe, well, I don't even know if it would be appropriate for you to go and like talk to her about it. So it feels weird encouraging that. But all I'm saying is that I wouldn't be surprised if she did. That seems like a much better explanation for the facts that you've laid out, that she had one birth and it was you know, like massively early, and then it was followed by like 5 miscarriages.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to have a conversation with my mom about that now, like spurring it up out of the blue.
Mhm.
That'd be
That's
kind of awkward.
yeah, that's
So you
reasonable.
do
Yeah.
agree that you do agree it's weird.
I mean, to bring it up randomly, be like, "Hey, I was on a TikTok live, and you guys said that you had a medical condition. Is that true?"
That is not what I'm saying, that she has a medical condition. I'm saying that for us to come to conclusions, I would have to be able to trust your own like recounting of the event when you even yourself cannot be trusted with your own recounting. You can't even trust yourself on the recounting. Why should I trust you?
I mean, I was just saying what I was told. Okay.
Sure.
I'm not telling you, oh yeah, for sure this happened. I'm telling you why I believe. And at the end of the day, it's a belief.
Mhm.
It's a belief.
But okay, I mean, if we have a naturalistic explanation for this, why would I assume that it comes from God?
Okay. And that's the thing. It's you just have to, and all it is faith. You just have to have faith that this is why it happened.
Oh,
It,
do you think that faith gives justification for beliefs?
maybe it depends on. I guess yeah. I mean that's what religion is. Your faith.
Okay. So the problem is that this is like a self-defeating standard, because, for example, I can have faith that faith doesn't give justification for beliefs, which then means I'd be justified in believing that faith doesn't give justification for beliefs. So it's just like a self-defeating standard. Faith can't possibly give justification for beliefs.
So then, what is a religion? If you have faith in something and those faiths guide you in your belief system, do they
So
not?
I take like a religion to be some sort of like metaphysical framework that posits various supernatural entities. Usually it involves something like a creation story or like a point of life type thing. And you know, it involves like supernatural entities. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but
Mhm.
I think, and there's like a long history of people trying to use reason to arrive at these conclusions.
And so what about the religions that don't?
Then those religions are unjustified.
Why are they not justified?
Because faith doesn't give justification for beliefs. They didn't arrive at their beliefs with logic. They arrived at their beliefs by, just deciding one day to believe it. Just deciding one day to believe something doesn't give justification for a belief.
So then I'm gonna ask you, what do you believe in?
I'm an atheist.
And so why do you feel like you're here?
I'm not sure what that question is asking. Are you asking like what's the purpose that my life is geared towards? Are you asking like a causal question? Like what caused me to exist? Like what are you asking?
Yeah, basically a causal question. What caused me to be here?
Yeah, that would be my parents having sex, and then they came from their parents having sex, so on and so forth, stretching back to the very first single-celled organism, and then there's like history of cosmology before that. So the short answer is like evolution.
And that's what it also and that's what it circles back to all the time is evolution. But like there has to be a start point to something. So like for example, the universe. The Big Bang's begun what we know as the universe, right?
No. According to a recent survey of physicists, the Big Bang says nothing about being the beginning of the universe. Let me pull that up. Gosh. I have it here somewhere. Okay, yeah, it's right here. So take note of the category that says 68%. 68% of cosmologists say that the Big Bang is a theory that says that the universe evolved from a hot, dense state. That says nothing about whether there was an absolute beginning of time or not. So the Big Bang doesn't say anything about that.
So how do you believe the universe started? You just believe it always existed?
Yeah.
It just always was?
Yes.
So then where do we get the ages of stars?
So specifically, we arrive at the ages of stars based on the distance away from them, and then how, I don't know, like whether or not they've been transmitting, it would come down to the distance that they are away from us, and then from that fact, we would be able to determine specifically the age that they are based on the fact that we can see them.
Okay. And at this point, I'm asking questions because I've always had these questions. So now I'm able, now I have an ability to ask them.
Yep.
Like I said before, I was raised in the church, but I've always had my doubts. And so now I'm just going to try to see.
Sure.
Test.
Okay.
So what happened? Wait, so you said that the stars, basically we get the age from the stars based on distance and what else?
So based on their distance, we can tell so we can determine to some extent the age that they are based on their distance and then the fact that light has reached us. But we can also evaluate how long ago they would have been emitting that light to determine the state that they are now based on models of like stellar evolution, basically. Like we can judge based on their brightness, their speed, their color. We can determine
composition, etc.
Yeah, what stage of star life that they're at, and then determine based on those facts.
From my very, very basic understanding, it's that stars start off at a specific composition, and the later they are in their life cycle, they get to specific elements that are heavier and heavier until they exhaust their fuel. So, I mean, Dr. Blitz would be better for this, but that is my understanding at least.
Yeah.
How I feel.
Dr. Blitz is doing more important things like playing Kerbal Space Program.
I mean, that is better than doing this.
And so then what do you think? And I have another question. It has nothing to do with stars, nothing to do with the universe.
Yeah.
What do you think happens? Like, what do you believe happens when you die? You just die. Like, that's it?
Yep.
So, and that's one of the main reasons why I believe in my faith is because, like, ultimately, and like I said, it was just it gives reason for things. So like, if I was to die and nothing was to happen and there's nothing after this, then it means that this is pointless.
That doesn't, wait, sorry, I don't think that follows. I think that, you know, it has a purpose insofar as there are all these things that you pursue. You personally have all of these ambitions, and the fact that you're not going to be here one day doesn't change the fact that you right now are taking actions to achieve goals, that you, in virtue of acting, have goals in mind.
I'm seeing the chat wants to move on.
And M15, before you go, what you just said, I believe personally, even if there is no purpose for life, even if, which I don't agree with, but even if, that just means that you prefer the explanation to be so-and-so, that doesn't mean that the explanation has to be so-and-so. So, for example, I wouldn't want my life to be meaningless. That doesn't mean that I suddenly decide that the true objective fact of the universe is that my life has a meaning. I would like it to have a meaning, doesn't mean that it does.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you are 18 or older, that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. If you don't have that, don't request to join. Scott, thanks so much for the super chat. I think you said you were a Platonist of some kind. Even if you're not, what is the best argument for the truth of Platonism in the Platonic forms? There are a couple of arguments. I think that you could make an argument similar to like the modal ontological argument that, well, okay, first of all, I don't believe in like Platonic forms. So Platonism in like the analytic sense is meant to just mean that you believe in abstract objects, and that can cover like a variety of things. It could be like mathematical objects, propositions, sets. It could be kind of a series of things. I personally believe that the mathematical objects exist. And I think that that's true just on the basis that if they exist, then they would exist necessarily, which is true because, you know, abstract objects specifically are aspatial, atemporal. So they must exist by necessity. They can't come into existence. And also there are true mathematical facts in every possible world. So they must exist in all possible worlds. But okay, I suppose like, you know, setting that aside, so if they exist necessarily. All possible mathematical objects possibly exist, and they become possible just by being self-consistent. Therefore, by the S5 axiom, they would actually exist. Dairy Fiend, thanks so much for the super chat. Is there a minimal set of questions you always ask in a debate? Are you familiar with street epistemology? P.S. What is the small tablet you're writing on? I've heard of street epistemology. I haven't heard the best reviews of it, but like I have I have the book on it. I've never read it though. Is there a minimal set of questions? I mean, I ask like the usual ones. I want to hear people's arguments for God's existence. There's like a couple of arguments that to me take away the possibility of God existing. For example, like my argument related to God's ability to create or his inability to create. But I don't have like a script that I run. I just have arguments in mind that I've been working on and developing that are in different stages, and then if they become relevant to the conversation, then I run them. Serial Dude, thanks so much for the super. Oh wait, sorry, fuck. Last one, last part of that. The small tablet that I'm writing on. This is a remarkable move. It's good. I like it. I'm a fan of it so far. I think that it makes me be more intentional about the things that I write down. It's also like small enough that I can just hold it. Serial Dude, thanks so much for the super chat. On A theory, how do you deal with the impossibility of traversing an infinite past? It's not intuitive to me at all. So the problem is, I think if the A theory is true, there must be an infinite past. The reason for that specifically is because all of my arguments about change always existing, I don't know. I think they probably only work under the A theory of time. I think if you hold the B theory, they probably don't work. But then at that point, you know, the universe is just eternal under B theory. So I think that there must be an infinite past. I also think like the goated response is to hold to eternalism, you know, the B theory of time. And if they don't like the possibility of traversing an infinite past under A theory, well, A theory necessitates an infinite past insofar as if A theory is true, then there must be some state without time or a state without change that changes into a state with change. So that you'd have a change that occurs in a changeless state, an impossibility. So there is no first change. There's just an infinite chain of change. And then with that in mind, that means time always existed because change always existed. So there just is an infinite regress of time. There just is an infinite regress of change. Also, if you want an actual infinity on the theists' view, they think God knows infinite numbers. So an actual infinity is not a problem. And to the extent that they want to whine about traversing an infinite past under A theory, then this just becomes an argument for eternalism.
Ian, I have a question for you.
Yep, go for it.
Do you too have a problem with the intuition of, for example, an infinite past? Because I feel like that is just probably like a limitation of brain, but I feel like it's just impossible to grasp. That if I, for example, am able to just go backwards in time, that there's literally no stop. It feels like at this point that it's just a random map generator in Minecraft, just generating random events.
Sure. So there's like a couple of things that we might want to say to that. So the universe evolves in accordance with certain laws of physics that if you, let's say you had like a sine wave, let's like make this extremely simple. You have like the sine wave that goes up and down and up and down. If you go to like a random point at this sine wave and it's like a googillion units into the future, it's at like some random point in the sine wave, you know, like it's at like a random point in the sine wave, but the way you got there is still by following along the sine wave. Like it still follows that pattern, if that makes any sense. So the way that we get here,
my problem is not with like getting to this point. My problem is like imagine you're like able to travel in time, and you're just going backwards in time.
Yeah.
The fact that that everything you're going through has already happened, and that it seems just for some reason like it's hard to grasp. And I was asking the first question: do you too have a problem grasping it, or is it just me?
Well, I think infinity is like intrinsically hard to grasp. I'm not sure what problem, like what aspect of it specifically you're having trouble grasping.
I have no idea what the problem is. It just feels like at that point, as I described it, it feels like you're in a endless map, and it just keeps randomly generating chunks every time you're going through it.
Yep. I think it's I certainly think that there's like a strangeness to it. The way that I like to deal with the intuition is with the B theory of time. I think the B theory of time deflates the problems with it. Like, I think that there probably are some intuitive problems under the A theory of time where only the present exists and there's like genuine coming into existence and genuine going out of existence. But I think that if all moments are actual and there actually is no genuine passage of time, but rather there are just like various time slices, and the brain that we have at this moment has memory, which gives the experience to us in these moments of progression. I think that kind of deflates the unintuitive parts of it a bit.
I think it does, especially like when at least you're able to kind of somewhat travel in the time axis. If you're able at least to move forward in it, even if moving in the past is not a thing, but at least you even know how it would happen if it were to happen. You at least know that you have to do something which is still impossible, but you still know that there is a specific way that is unreachable that would still allow you to travel in the time dimension.
Sure.
So technically, like, turns it into a spatial dimension, quote unquote.
Yeah,
you're able to move into, but you're unable to actually do that.
Yeah.
So that supports B theory, I think.
Yep. No, I definitely think that that's like the most intuitive way of viewing it, and it also has like it also has like a lot of support from it, both from physics and philosophy. Josh Vergt, Jeremiah 29:11 for 9:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Okay. Sounds good, bud. That certainly is the claim. Oop. Dude was waiting for a while and then it didn't work. What happened to him? Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, bro.
Yep. Yeah, how old are you?
25.
And what religion?
I'm Christian.
You're a bit quiet. Also, is there like an echo?
I'm Christian.
Okay. What makes you think God exists?
Creation.
Okay. So by creation, you mean one of two things. You either mean the fact that it exists at all, or you're just saying like it was actually created. If you're saying that it was created, wait, sorry, do you have headphones? There's a bit of an echo.
No headphones, bro.
Okay. Sure. So why would I think that we're living in a creation?
What an illusion.
What?
What an illusion. You don't believe reality is real.
No. Why would I think that it was created?
So you don't think the computer in front of you that you're using, you understand yourself?
What a total non sequitur. What question did I just ask you, and how do you think what you said answers it?
Because you're in control.
What's my question? What question did I ask you?
You said you don't believe reality exists.
I didn't say that. You're delusional.
So what was your question?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think reality exists isn't a question. My question is, why would I think that the universe is created?
Because you are the creator of your story. So who created the story?
I didn't create myself.
I didn't say that.
You said that I'm the creator of my own story. Are you just saying like I live my life? Because if you're just saying something trivial like I live my life, well, I agree with that. Why would I think that the universe is created? We still can't get an answer to this question for some reason.
Because if you can create life, what created you?
My parents.
And they created life, right, to create you, and their parents and their parents and their parents. So if that exists, is that real or is that fake then, since you don't believe in reality?
I do believe in reality. You're delusional.
Why am I delusional?
Because you've made this mistake twice and I've corrected you on it over and over again. You've said multiple times that I don't believe in reality, and I say I do believe in reality. Yeah, I think some things are real, obviously.
Okay, so you believe in science as well. I heard you
I think it's I think it's typically a good methodology, but I'm not going to let you pivot. Why would I think that we're living in a creation?
Wait, hold on. Go back. Go back. Why would you ask me the question?
Yeah.
Why do I believe we live in creation, or why do you believe that
why would I think that we're living in a creation? Why would I think that the universe is created? What's the evidence for that?
So the last guy came up here and spoke about faith, right? How is faith built? Like, what builds faith? What builds your belief system that you believe the earth is created in such a way? Who told you that?
Are you going to answer a single question, or is it just going to be like, okay,
no, I'm asking you,
I'll be very point blank with you. If your debate strategy relies on not answering the question and then strawmanning my position, every single time you don't answer the question, I'm just going to point out that you didn't answer it, ask it again, and every time you strawman my position and say that I'm saying something like reality doesn't exist, I'm just going to point out that I've never said that. So I'll ask you for like the fourth time, what's the evidence that the universe was created?
So we're going back to the evidence point, right?
Yes.
So you want me to stick to purely the evidence?
Yes.
So human history, people have been speaking of monotheism and one God, right?
Do you think the fact that people believe that there's a God is evidence for the universe being created?
They claim that they've prophesied a story that is continuous for 4,000 or so years.
Okay.
So this exists. So you don't believe that happened, that not the miracles, but what they wrote down exists. Their writings are fake now.
Are you speaking of like the Christian book, like the Bible?
I'm speaking of the Jews, I'm speaking of the Islam, I'm speaking
I think that there's like probably true things in there, and then I think like the supernatural stuff is fake, and a lot of the history is fake too. Or at least we have no evidence when we would expect tons of it.
What's
So-
fake to you? What define fake?
Just not in reality, fictional, mythological.
So what was going on? So what if it was mythological with not within reality? What were they doing then?
At what point in time?
4,000 years ago.
We can look that up if you'd like.
No, but I'm saying like, would they, so with that assumption, are we going to say they were lying? That these things weren't based in reality?
There are certainly some things that they say that are false. For example, they say that God told them that rabbits chew cud in the book of Leviticus, and well, that's just false. Rabbits don't chew cud. So that means that God couldn't possibly have said that because either God wouldn't be all-knowing or he would be a liar, both of which are incompatible with the text of the Bible. It says that in Leviticus 11:6, I believe.
You believe?
Yep. And that was the correct verse. If you're off the app, I can't hear you, but I'll read the verse. The hare, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves. It is unclean for you. It's saying that rabbits do chew cud, but you can look it up. Rabbits don't chew cud. That's just false. It says the same thing about the rock badger in, I believe, verse 8. No, it's verse 5.
I think you might have interpreted what they're saying wrong.
It's a literal statement about a thing that rabbits do, and it just misattributes to them.
I don't think it's a literal statement.
What's it meant to say?
I think it's a play on words regarding what the meaning is through God's eyes. Now, we might not agree on our interpretation, but
what's your interpretation of the verse? What does it mean?
My interpretation.
Yep, the verse again is just the hare, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you.
It literally is telling you that this thing is unclean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it's.
Yep,
that's what it is, isn't it?
It's saying that on the basis of it chewing cud, it's unclean.
It's not giving nature its attributes. It's telling you not to eat rabbits.
Yeah, that's because they chew cud.
The context is. It's not because of that. He's telling you don't eat them.
Like, and why is he saying that?
But you've created this link.
Why is he saying that?
He said,
if you cracked open the Bible a day in your life, you might actually know the answer to this question, but we can read this in context and determine exactly why. Also, sorry, it's not because they chew the cud, which is why they're unclean. It's because they have divided hooves, or it does not have divided hooves. You can only eat the things that have divided hooves and chew the cud, but they don't have divided hooves. They chew the cud, but they don't have divided hooves, which is why they're unclean. But let's read it. For the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying to them, speak to the Israelites, from among all the land animals, these are the creatures that you may eat. Any animal that has divided hooves and is cleft-footed and chews the cud, such you may eat. But among those that chew the cud or have divided hooves, you shall not eat the following: the camel, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you. The rock badger, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you. The hare, for even though it chews the cud, it does not have divided hooves, it is unclean for you. So God sets out like a criteria of what it takes to be able to eat an animal. It needs to have divided hooves and chew cud. Rabbits chew cud, but they don't have divided hooves, so you can't eat them. But
I wouldn't say
there's
that
a
was
problem.
A
they don't chew cud.
I feel like you've created. Well, you haven't read the whole Bible, so that's clear.
What do you think the section titled "Clean and Unclean Foods" is saying?
The Old Testament, which is Leviticus.
He realized that he's cooked on this one. I'm not going to let
There's
you
no
give
cooking.
it, though.
There's no cook. There's no pivot.
What do you think the chapter
you are
titled
now
"Clean
saying
and Unclean
that
Foods"
you are now
is describing?
giving someone else
What's happening in the book of
criteria,
Leviticus? Well, let's just calm down there. There's really no need to be getting this upset.
But you don't.
What do you think
You
the
can't
book of
say
Leviticus
what's God's
is
criteria,
doing?
though.
What is it?
You can't say what God's criteria
What is it? What's the book of Leviticus
You can't
giving?
say about that is
What
God's
is it
only
giving,
criteria for eating food
What's
in the
the
Bible.
literary genre of the book of Leviticus? Do you know?
You aren't
do you need me
stating
to
a
tell you?
fact. You aren't stating a fact, though.
What's the literary genre of Leviticus? What's happening in Leviticus? Have you even read it?
I've read Leviticus, yeah, and it's
So,
not what you're saying.
so what's happening in the book of
You
Leviticus?
tell me, since you're the expert.
Okay, you haven't read it, so I'll tell you.
No, I
God
want to
is
know
giving
your
the
opinion.
Levitical laws. The
Yeah,
genre
yeah,
of literature that Leviticus is a
yeah, yeah,
legalistic genre
yeah,
wherein
yeah,
God is laying out laws. So these
yeah,
are
yeah,
not metaphors, these are literal
yeah, yeah,
laws.
yeah, yeah, which are broken down in the New Testament. But continue, please.
So sure, but then you agree that it is speaking literally when it says that they chew cud.
I wouldn't say that that's the criterion which you said before for all eating of all food. No.
Is it
So
literal or is it metaphorical?
I'd say that it is a guideline at the time to the people of the understanding at that time, not your understanding. So,
Okay,
yeah.
the question is it speaking literally or is it speaking metaphorically?
I think he gave him rules that would apply to the people of that time.
Are you physically capable of answering the
Literally,
question?
I think literally at that time, but your
Sure. So
understanding
at
is
that time, it was
Okay.
literally true that rabbits chew cud.
They didn't just include the cud though, did they? There was this thing about hooves as well.
Is
that
it
you mentioned.
literally true that rabbits chew cud?
They didn't just say that though, did they?
Nope. But is it true that rabbits chew cud? Is
Did
it
they
literally
literally just?
true?
Did he literally say, if it doesn't eat cud, you can't eat it?
You're just like not
No.
physically capable of answering a question.
No, it doesn't. No,
It's
it
just
doesn't.
like another
It
dodge,
doesn't.
dude. Are you able to answer
You think that's the
questions? Like you
dodge?
want to
You
change it
think
to
that's the
something
dodge?
else because you know that you're
You
not
think
capable of
that's
actually
the
engaging on
dodge?
this point specifically on its own
You think that's the
merits.
dodge? Honestly, deep down.
Yeah, you're dodging. You're dodging the
Deep down.
question. When it says that rabbits chew cud, do you think that it's speaking literally or metaphorically?
I think it's speaking literally to the people of that time.
Okay, so then it is saying that rabbits chew cud.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so when you spent the last like 10 minutes
is
denying
saying
this, you
it
were just
chews
wrong.
cud. That translation, yes, is saying it chews cud.
So you have changed your mind about whether or not that's what it's saying.
No, I think I've changed my mind.
You didn't
on
say
what you
earlier
think
that
it
it's not
says.
speaking literally? You
I've
didn't say
changed my
that?
mind on what you think it says.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, to be clear, you didn't say earlier that it was speaking metaphorically?
No, I did say it was speaking metaphorically
Okay.
to us because we're in the New Testament, but
Sure.
the literal
Is it true?
wasn't given to you.
Was that
It was
true? Was
given
like
to
the
them.
literal meaning
You
of
had a
it
different
true?
understanding to you and on me.
Was it
They had a
true?
different understanding.
When God said it, was it true?
Yes, I believe it was true.
So you do think rabbits chewed cud when God said it?
I think they possibly could have. And I don't think it has anything to do with that either.
Okay, well that's just false. Rabbits don't chew cud.
Okay, so say if that wasn't God's, say if someone recorded that rule wrong, there's a mistake and God isn't all-knowing then. How do you know humans didn't tamper with the scripture then?
How do we know if a piece of scripture, well, at that point you have a much bigger problem. How do we know if the scripture is true or not, and that it's not just a lie inserted by humans?
But how do you not know the opposite? That's not what we're speaking about here.
At that point, we just need to be skeptical of the
dodged
entire Bible.
yourself.
We can't know whether or not any given verse is literal or just a metaphor, or if it was an insertion by humans and they just lied. They inserted words into God's mouth.
So because somebody lied, you'd cancel the whole.
At that point, we would need some way to determine which parts of these are lies and which parts aren't.
You've definitely been educated, and so you'd understand that there's people who can prove science and theories and methodologies. If there was one science theory that didn't go wrong, do you think all of his past experiments were fake?
The question is about authorship. It's a question about whether or not this person, like if somebody manufactured papers from this person, then at that point, we now need a process to determine which papers actually came from the person and which ones didn't. Similarly, if people are putting words, false words into God's mouth in the Bible, then we need some way to determine when is it speaking truly and when is it a human insertion.
But right now, you don't believe there's a possible way to do that.
I'm asking you, how would we determine that?
I think you'd have to believe what the last guy said. But if you didn't want to believe that, you could still go with the alignment in prophecy in the books, the crossover, the things that are the miracles that did happen. There's proof of said miracles, so you can't dodge that.
But how do we know that when it's speaking about those things, that these aren't just human things that were inserted into it, in the same way that God's saying that rabbits chew cud was just a human thing that was inserted into it?
Repeat that for me again,
Yeah,
please.
all the things that you're talking about, all the prophecies that get fulfilled, all of the connections, all the cross references, how do we know that those aren't just human lies that are inserted into the Bible, in the same way you want to say that Leviticus 11:6 is just a human lie inserted into the Bible?
Well, wouldn't it be impossible for like someone, say in Moses' era, to predict when Jesus would come 2,000 years prior? Could anyone insert their own lie
Well,
with that coherency?
you know,
Is that possible?
fortunately, that doesn't happen in the Bible.
Well, I think you'll find in the prophets in the Old Testament have predicted Jesus's coming. So,
Like where?
if in Isaiah,
Which one?
we-
If you're off the app, I can't hear you.
you've got Daniel.
Wait, sorry, let's stick with Isaiah first.
Yep, Isaiah.
Yeah. What part of Isaiah are we speaking of?
Chapter 9, verses 6 to 7, bro.
Okay. Isaiah 9, 6 through 7. Okay. But this is just false, dude. There wasn't endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. The nation of Israel then goes out of existence. This is like an excellent disproof of Jesus as the Messiah, because it says that with Jesus as the Messiah, great will be his authority, and there shall be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. But the kingdom of Israel has been in tons of wars, both after and then also like recently. It's not everlasting peace.
What? So what did you read? Do you want to read that for the
Yeah,
people?
Isaiah 9, 6 through 7. For a child has been born for us, a son given to us, authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Great will be his authority, and there shall be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. He will establish it and uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time onward and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. So it's saying that there will be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom, and that simply has not happened.
Wait. What? Who's to say that it isn't going to happen?
Sure, so then this isn't a fulfilled prophecy.
No, the Son of Man already came. Who said the whole thing has to happen?
Then it's not a fulfilled prophecy if the whole thing hasn't happened.
So it's partially fulfilled then?
Sure, I mean, in the same way, you know, or actually, wait, which part of this do you think has been fulfilled? I don't know which part. Is the prophecy just that a child's been born? Because in that case, I've partially fulfilled the prophecy.
And the government shall be on his shoulder. Are you part of the line of, the David? Are you part of that line of people? Can we connect you back?
What a pointed question. No.
Can you connect yourself to that line of lineage? So you haven't fulfilled anything.
Sure. So you think like the fact that any Jewish person has been born, that they've like fulfilled the prophecy?
Well, they have 2 recorded family lines in the Bible. A royalty line and a line through David as well.
But you're just saying that there has been a descendant of David who has been born? That's the prophecy?
This is happening 2,000 years prior to the person that I was speaking in regards to.
Okay. You know how many people are Jewish that have been born? There's like a lot of Jewish people that have been born between now and like the last 2,000 years.
And how do you, wait, so you're just saying if there's more verses we could go to in the Old Testament, 2,000 years or so longer than
So
before
before we
he
move
was
on,
born,
let's just
that we can
acknowledge that
use,
this
that we
is
that we
like
can use,
this
that
is
we
like a
can
super
use.
uninteresting prophecy that has been fulfilled by literally like millions of people. Is that correct?
It might be super uninteresting, but it hasn't. That's not true. It has not been fulfilled by millions of people. No.
How many
That's
Jewish
not true.
people have been born between today and like the last 2,000 years?
It didn't even say the word Jewish, though, did it?
It's just speaking about like people who come from the line of David. So I guess like how many of those people do you think have been born between now and the last 2,000 years?
I'd say quite a few, but there's a predominant one that everyone is, looking at, the Son that everyone speaks of. The Bible is the Son of the Son of the Father, right? So,
But you would say like tons and tons of people have fulfilled this prophecy.
no.
No.
Okay.
So not everybody not everyone from the line of David has fulfilled this prophecy.
No.
So which part of this prophecy has Jesus fulfilled if it's not just being born from the line of David?
Being the Son who was born from the line of David.
Sure. So you think every man who's been born from the line of David fulfills this prophecy?
Come on, man. I thought you were smarter than this, man.
Damn, scathing rebuttal. Is that correct? So you are saying that every single man who has been born from the line of David fulfills this prophecy?
No.
Okay.
No one says
So then
that.
which
No
aspect
one
of
did.
this, which part does Jesus fulfill that they don't? If you're off the app, I can't hear you. Do you have to consult your closest advisor, ChatGPT?
The child is born, the Prince of Peace. They're clearly referring to Jesus, right?
So it's just like any child who's been born. And what about him makes him the Prince of Peace?
So you want to defer the question?
I'm just asking you, like, which part of him makes him the Prince
even
of
if it
Peace?
so what part of every other Jewish child that you said makes them the Prince of Peace?
I see nothing that would separate them from Jesus. So it seems like at that point, every child who's been born from the line of David fulfills that part of being, they're as much the Prince of Peace as Jesus is, it seems.
It's to you.
You've provided no distinction between them.
I think even your side. I think even scholars will. I'm not talking about religious scholars. Historians can, from different sectors of the world, in India, in other Arab states, will confirm this man.
Okay,
Jesus.
I don't think that what they're saying is true about him. Like, I don't think that he's a prophet. What's the evidence that he's the Prince of Peace?
That's the point, though. You then, if that's the whole issue. The point is, this happened way before us, before Jesus. So was that what they
Why
were
would I
writing?
think that Jesus is the Prince of Peace? Like, what's the evidence for that?
I'd say his teachings, most definitely.
All of his teachings are stolen from other people.
They're stolen, are they?
Yeah. Like all of his moral teachings exist elsewhere. You know, you can trace things like the Golden Rule back to people like Plato or Confucius, who
Plato's
existed.
after Jesus.
You're an idiot if you think Plato is after Jesus. Plato existed in like 300 BC.
Oh, the Greek
Yeah.
guy.
Who do you think I was talking about?
So you're saying, sorry, apologies. No, I got it right now. Not the guy I'm thinking of. I got it wrong. Apologies.
That's okay.
So that actually aligns, though, technically, because the point was he was taking the Greeks had invaded at that time, so he was taking their philosophies and making them his own. That's a known fact. No one's not saying that happened.
Okay, so then why would I think that Jesus is the Prince of Peace if all of his teachings just come from somebody else?
Because they're not Plato's teachings, are they? They're not completely Plato's.
What's one original Jesus teaching?
We can go find one. We can go.
You don't even know one.
We can go over what they said, what they did. There's too many.
Yeah, name one.
They're not all going to be Jesus. They're not all going to be Plato's.
Yeah. Let's see it. Let's hear it.
I'm not going to go into that.
Okay. Yep. I'm sure nobody thinks that you're dodging because you don't have an example of it.
To narrow it down to something that you can pick apart.
So many to choose from, can't even pick one.
What about Jesus' teaching of changing the old laws, going back to your argument about Leviticus and God's laws?
He doesn't change the laws.
He changed those laws to the Pharisees.
He doesn't.
What about that?
Matthew 5. Let's read Matthew 5.
To start.
This is Matthew 5, 17 through 20. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So he's saying that the law is still in effect.
So when he tells them that he can change the dietary laws in which they were changed,
then that's a contradiction.
So he did or he didn't change it? Which one are you going with? It's a contradiction.
He says explicitly that he's not changing the laws. So if your claim is that he actually does change them elsewhere, well, then that would just be a contradiction.
But it wasn't about abolishing anything. He was fulfilling them because they had a misunderstanding.
Are they still in effect?
Yes.
Sure. Then there is no change to them.
Yes, they are. But they interpreted them wrong.
Then there's no change to it.
That's the narrative.
So you're saying like the mythical Jesus teaching that designates him to the status of Prince of Peace is that he clarifies moral teachings that have been misunderstood?
Yes, 100%.
You know, all of the philosophers in ancient Greece did the exact same thing. Like, for example, Socrates' entire project was clarifying ideas for people. Plato's entire point was that by rationally reflecting on things, you can arrive at like objective truths.
2,000 years before Plato, bro.
Who was speaking about what?
Plato, 2,000 years before Plato.
Your argument is that Jesus fulfills being the Prince of Peace on the basis. Wait, this is circular. Your argument is circular, bud. Just calm down there. You're saying that Jesus is the Prince of Peace, the one who's talked about 2,000 years prior to the fact, and the basis for this is his original moral teachings. But unless you can provide original moral teachings from Jesus, nobody's speaking about Jesus 2,000 years prior.
But so if the same line are speaking about this supposed Prince of Peace that is confirmed.
But it's not Jesus.
But that's your opinion of it then, isn't it?
What's one original Jesus moral teaching?
That's your book. That's not that's a conflated argument.
That was your claim.
We showed you about the fulfilling of the law.
Which one?
Okay, cool. About him changing the dietary laws. We've said this already.
Then that would be a contradiction because you said the law is still in effect.
But they were here to be they were misinterpreted and the dietary laws were changed. So it's not a contradiction.
Sure, but so what were they intended to be in the beginning?
Two things can be right at the same time. He can
Not if they're
change
opposite.
something and uphold things that were not meant
You
to
actually
change.
can't do that. You
Yes, you
can't
can.
both change the laws and not change the laws.
Yes, you can uphold things that
So
were
you
meant
do
to
think
stay
that you
and
can
change
change?
things that
Can you
need to
change
go.
the laws and not change the laws simultaneously?
No, you can uphold the same
Okay.
standards.
Does
and
Jesus
the things
change
that
the
were,
laws or does Jesus not change the laws?
He did both. Two things can be right. What's so
Okay,
hard to
yeah, that's a
understand?
contradiction. He both changed and didn't change them.
No, you claim that's a contradiction.
You don't think changing them and not changing them is a contradiction?
No, not one bit at
Okay.
all.
Sure. I mean, I guess I just take that as a reductio. If you don't think that doing a thing and not doing a thing is contradictory, then there's probably not much to discuss.
I think when he says he hasn't changed the laws, he's referring to the laws that didn't need to be changed. That's
Okay.
it.
Well, do you have any final thoughts? Because I don't debate with people who reject logic.
I don't think anyone rejected logic.
You're
at all.
denying that a thing happening and not happening is a contradiction. It either happened or it didn't.
No one's denying that it didn't happen.
You're saying that it both didn't change and did change.
We're saying that he changed the dietary laws and kept the other laws the same.
Sure. So he does change the law. He gets rid of some laws.
Yeah. And where does it say he changed nothing?
Yeah. In Matthew 5, it says that he's upholding all of the laws. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. So he's saying not one word of the law is changing.
No, he didn't say that.
It says, for truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away,
That's the problem.
not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all
thinking.
is accomplished. Does one letter pass away from the law until all is accomplished?
Yes.
Okay. Then what Jesus says is false.
No.
Yes. I'll put it on screen. This is Matthew 5. What is it? Matthew 5:18.
Yep.
So what's your interpretation of this?
Until all is accomplished. And what is your interpretation of what is accomplished?
It tells you explicitly that heaven and earth passing away.
Yeah, so the end, right?
Yes.
So
do you agree with that?
I don't think that the law's been fulfilled, but I think in Revelation, when he comes back, he's going to fulfill it.
So you would say not all is accomplished?
Yes, I would say that.
Okay, sure. So insofar as not all is accomplished, then that means that not one letter will pass from the law. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Sure. So not one letter is passed away from the law, but you do think that the letters related to dietary laws have passed from the law?
Yes, I do. I think that they were adjusted. Yeah, I do.
So you would say both.
I don't think it's illogical to think that, no.
From the law, and some letters have passed from the law. So you would affirm both of these things at the same time, that both not one letter is passed from the law and also some letters have passed from the law.
If it's coming from the same person who gave the original statement, yes, I would.
Okay. Well, I take that to be a direct contradiction.
But again, who was speaking about Plato 2,000 years before Plato? Then?
Nobody was talking about Jesus 2,000 years before Jesus.
There's other verses, but is there... Okay, cool. If you don't think that's true, that's fair enough. But is there anyone speaking about Plato or referencing Plato 2,000 years ago?
Nope. Same as Jesus.
How can you say the same as Jesus?
Because
that's
nobody's
the one
speaking of
thing that's-
Jesus 2,000
that's
years prior to Jesus.
illogical now as well, isn't it?
Nope. It's
Yeah.
perfectly logical.
It's actually the most illogical thing.
Okay. Well, luckily
we can
saying
show
it's
you more
illogical
proof.
makes that true, so.
Shall we show you more proof? There's more. There's more.
Okay. Yeah, what's the more?
The same Isaiah 53.
Yeah, let's read Isaiah 53.
Or Psalms 22.
Let's do Isaiah 53. So Isaiah 53, which part of it?
Isaiah 53, 3, verse 10 to 11.
Okay. 3 verses 10 to 11. Yet it was the will of the Lord to crush him with affliction. When you make his life an offering for sin, he shall see his offspring and shall prolong his days. Through him the will of the Lord shall prosper. Out of his anguish he shall see. He shall find satisfaction through his knowledge. The righteous one, my servant, shall make many righteous, and he shall bear their iniquities. This isn't Jesus for 3 reasons. First, starting with the verse itself in Isaiah 53, it talks about his offspring. Jesus doesn't have any offsprings, but also if we go to Isaiah 44 and 49, it tells us exactly who the servant is. If you go to Isaiah 44, verses, 1 through, let's do 2. But now hear, O Jacob, my servant, Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus says the Lord who made you, who formed you in the womb and will help you. Do not fear, O Jacob, my servant. And then Isaiah 44:21, remember these things, O Jacob and Israel, for you are my servant. I formed you. You are my
Israel,
servant,
bro.
O Israel. Do not
Jesus
forget
is
me.
Israel.
Isaiah
He's talking-
49, and he said to me,
Okay.
you are my servant Israel, in whom I
He's
will be
talking-
glorified.
Jesus
It's
is Israel
talking
in the
about
context.
Israel. It's not talking about
Talking
Jesus.
about
It's talking
Jesus
about the
is
nation
Israel
of
in the
Israel.
context.
So these are the 3
Okay.
reasons why Isaiah 53 is not talking about Jesus. It's talking
Psalms
about the nation
22.
of Israel.
Psalms 22, the thing that Jesus
Okay,
said
yeah,
when he
just
died.
pivot away from getting torn in half on Isaiah 53.
We didn't pivot away.
You're
just don't
pivoting to a
understand.
different verse.
You haven't read the context of the Bible, but you want to tell me
Why are
what
you
the
pivoting
context
to a new
is.
book if you didn't get
We
torn
could-
in half on this one?
We didn't pivot. I literally am explaining
You're not
how
speaking
we
on
haven't been
Psalm
torn.
now? This isn't like
We
a
can-
total
no, I'm
pivot
not.
to a new book?
I'm not speaking on Psalm. I'm speaking on Isaiah.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
I was already doing that and you keep interrupting me, but okay, cool. I will carry on. So that verse you're speaking of, Jesus is Israel in the context.
What? What's the argument for that?
Bro, you'd have to read more. You'd have to
Scathing.
understand more.
You haven't
There's
even
no
read the book of
scathing.
Leviticus. I'm not going to take advice to read more of the Bible from
Fair
you.
enough, fair
You
enough.
haven't read
Okay.
it yourself, bud.
Okay. That's fair enough. That's fair. If you don't want to take my advice, that's fine.
I've
But
read
Psalms
more of the
22
Bible than you have. I've read the entire Bible and you just haven't.
I haven't read the entire thing, no. Psalms 22.
Mm-hmm. So we are pivoting to a new book, though.
No, you just don't see it. But okay.
Okay. Psalm 22.
Am I the only person who noticed that guest uses the royal we while talking?
I haven't noticed that, but I'll look for it.
Okay.
Just tell me which part of this you want me to read.
Yeah, the first verse, it's the same verse that you say Jesus didn't say.
Okay, so this is a plea for deliverance from suffering and hostility to the leader, according to the deer of the dawn, a psalm of David. So this is David speaking.
Yeah, it's David speaking.
Okay,
yes.
and what do you want me to read?
Just verse 1.
Okay. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but find no rest. Yet you are wholly enthroned on the praises of Israel, and your ancestor, and in you our ancestors trusted. They trusted, and you delivered them. To you they cried and were saved. In you they trusted and were not put to shame. But I am a worm and not human, scorned by others and despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They sneer at me. They shake their heads. Commit your cause to the Lord. Let him deliver. Let him rescue the one in whom he delights. Yet it was you who took me from the womb. You kept me safe on my mother's breast. On you I was cast from my birth, and since my mother bore me, you have been my God. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help me. Many bulls encircle me, strong bulls of Bashan surround me. They open wide their mouths at me like a ravening and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all the bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within my breast. Do you want me to keep on going, or? It's just David lamenting at his hardships. This is supposed to be going somewhere? Hello?
My God, verse 1.
Yep.
Why hast thou forsaken me? That was said on the day of Jesus' death.
Says who?
Says the disciples in the gospel.
Okay. Oop, wait 1 sec.
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Okay.
That's good.
So, we got Psalm and then, okay. Why would I think that what the Gospels say are true?
Well, that's down to you then, isn't it? Like, if he didn't say that you don't believe what was written down was real, but it was written down, and that was said 2,000 years before him, and that's what we're trying to show you. If you don't want to see it or believe it, that's why God is real.
Okay, wait. So let's read Luke 23, Jesus' final words. This is going to be 23:46. Then Jesus, crying out with a loud voice, said, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Having said this breath, he breathed his last. So those weren't his final words.
No, I didn't say they were his final words. I said they were said on the day of his death. I didn't say final words.
Okay, on Luke 23, it doesn't say that he says forsaken at all. So try again.
Fine.
So this is actually a good instance of the Gospels contradicting with each other, because what you're looking for specifically is Matthew and Mark. The Gospels of Matthew and Mark make the claim, why have you forsaken me? But the Gospels of John and Luke claim that they say that he has different final words.
But no one's final words. So you see it now, but you're now conflating final words and the day of his death. Basically.
No, it's a contradiction. What were Jesus's final words?
No one asked that question.
I'm asking you right now. What were they?
They could. It doesn't matter.
It does matter. What were they?
The question that we asked you, like you're just doing.
Because what you're
It's a
pointing to is
fancy
a
word for what you're
contradiction.
doing that I don't know.
Okay.
But you know what you're doing.
Maybe if you read a bit more, you might know.
Fair enough. That's true. But it says there, it doesn't say final words, does it? That's your understanding of it, isn't it?
But the Gospels contradict each other with respect to this. Because in 2 of the Gospels, he doesn't say this.
The Gospels are all from different perspectives. They're 4 different people.
Okay. But the Gospels that you're citing, the Gospel of, for example, Mark, you know, Mark's not an eyewitness. And why would I think that Matthew wrote the Gospel of Matthew?
Well, that's down to what you want to say. But if so you're saying that they created this narrative. They created this story. You know, 2,000 years ago, him re-quoting it, all of this stuff, you believe it's just random coincidences.
I think that the author inserted that into it. I think like the author, for example, of Mark and Matthew have a familiarity with the Old Testament. I don't have any reason to think that Matthew actually wrote the book of Matthew, though.
So if they have a very good understanding of the Old Testament, who taught them the Old Testament?
They're literally Jewish.
Yeah, but who was around Mark and Matthew, Ian?
Jewish people.
Not Jesus.
Maybe, well, first of all, Jesus was not around Mark, but you wouldn't know that because you haven't read the Bible.
No, I'm saying the disciples who would have passed on the knowledge, like you said, the teachings.
So when you said Mark, like to be clear, you do understand that Mark never knew Jesus.
Yeah. No, I know the people. Yeah, I know what you're saying, bro.
Mm-hmm. But specifically, they would have known the Old Testament insofar as these people are all Jewish.
So they're Jewish. They learn from Jesus, you know. But
They were Jewish before they knew Jesus.
no,
They just would have known this stuff from their upbringing.
Yes, they would have known the books from their upbringing. But who says they were to know all of the books? Who says that they were very religious? Who says that?
Wait, sorry, I don't think that I've made that claim.
I think you did. You were like, they already knew.
Presumably, they would be familiar with a book like Psalm, you know, an important book. It's not out of the realm of possibility that they just know the book, for example.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but
why would I think that Matthew wrote the book of Matthew?
So if he didn't write it, forget the question who did write it. You're saying the author added that Easter egg just to confuse everybody.
So, okay, you keep on like oscillating back and forth. I ask you for evidence. No, the author is familiar with the book of Psalm and then quotes from the book of Psalm. Now, answer my question, stop dodging. What's the evidence that Matthew wrote it?
I don't need to go into that question. You know what?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't need to go into that. But
sure.
I had
Zero evidence then.
Listen, you can see it, but again, you want to detract from it where you want to detract. I think it's fair for you to have
It's an excellent piece of psychoanalysis, but I mean, unfortunately, there's just no reason to think that Matthew wrote the book of Matthew. It's written anonymously.
Okay, cool. So forget about Matthew then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, forgotten.
What about Mark?
About what?
What about Mark?
Mark's not an eyewitness.
What about Luke?
Luke's not an eyewitness, but you wouldn't know that because you haven't read the Bible.
What about James?
What about James?
He doesn't speak about Jesus as much, but yeah, what about him?
In the book of James?
All these people that, you know, take Jesus's teachings, you know.
What about them?
Like, they're all, like, where do you get to the point where, so they're all lying? Like,
I don't have a reason to think that these are the authors of these books.
So the fake author then, who are they? And if it isn't a who are they thing, how have they connected it back?
Nobody knows who authored these books. They're all written anonymously.
do you not see the problem in that as well?
The problem for your religion, I do see the problem, which is one of the reasons why I don't believe in your religion. The fact that your most important books are written anonymously leaves the credibility, I mean, up for debate.
But if the credibility is there,
it's not. That's the point.
Fair enough. Well, I'm gonna go. Enjoy.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Well, hey, thanks for coming up. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box,
I'm
make
disappointed.
Sure. You're disappointed?
I thought you'd have noticed him using, "We have told you so and so." He kept saying, "We have said so and so. We've told you. We've shown you." That was confusing.
Sure. Make sure that you're. Well, Tron is not in the guest request box, but also he's like 16. There's probably like a connection there, right? He was too impatient to wait, but also he's 16, so I don't know, like wait 2 years, bud.
Oh, we have a Muslim.
Yep. Hey, how's it going?
That is a weird bio.
Sarah, how's it going? Sarah, are you there?
I mean, the bio literally says God's prophets are white. Prove me wrong.
Damn, what the fuck? Yo, that's fucking crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. No fucking kidding. Yo, the fact that you can know, the fact you know Tron isn't 18 is that everybody's giving different ages in the comment section. Beyond the narrative, how's it going?
Oh, go ahead.
Pretty good. Sorry.
Can you turn off the music?
Wrong time. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Her post literally had a picture of Jesus and said, "If Jesus' color didn't matter, you wouldn't mind if he was white."
Hey, how's it going? Little fucking song, are you there?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I requested by mistake.
Okay. Well, then I'll drop you on purpose. Yeah, how's it going, Ethan?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Yep. What religion?
Are you only taking on Christians?
Do you believe in a mind that created the universe?
I mean, I believe that there's something out there, but I really don't think that it gives a shit about either of us.
Okay, but do you believe in like a mind that created the universe?
I'm not sure. Maybe. My
Okay,
only reason for wanting to join, if that's okay for me to say,
Wait, sorry. What are you here for?
I mean, this just feels a lot like the same people that want to shove Jesus down my throat, but it's the other way around.
You know, if you don't like it, it's kind of weird that you sat here for like an hour.
But the thing is, then I was thinking, but like, I don't have the same issue really with, I mean, like, I have an issue, but it's a different type of issue, and I was just thinking that's really odd. But I think that's mostly just like the way I've been conditioned to see the world. Anyway, is there a reason why you want to like tear people, or I guess you're not even really tearing people's religion down, you're just questioning them on their beliefs, but is there a reason why you want to make people question it besides just wanting them to be atheist, if that's even what you want?
I just think people should believe true things. You know, I think people should not believe false things. I think that you should try your best to believe as many true things and as few false things as you can.
I can respect that, and I generally agree. I generally agree with that. My only devil's advocate. I mean, religion does help a lot of people. I know that there's a lot of people that misuse religion and use it to hurt people, and that's absolutely disgusting. And if that keeps happening, it's going to keep happening. And I think that's disgusting, and I think people should pay for that. But I don't think that people that, I was raised Christian or something, and I believe in God. I don't think that, and they're good people, and being part of the church is a part of their personality. I don't think they should feel bad about that. And I'm not saying that that's what you're saying. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean, it's kind of seems like the case if you're trying to make people, in your words, believe true things. And
Well, listen, I'm only looking for debates here. So let's go to the next one. How's it going?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
I am 26.
Yep. And what religion are you?
Muslim.
Okay. What makes you think God exists?
Well, there's a lot of reasons that I believe God exists, but I just wanted to ask one thing, because you've got on your title, God isn't real.
Yeah.
So that's a very positive claim. You're making a claim, right?
Indeed.
So are you able to disprove God?
Yes, easily. Sure. Let me help you out there. I'll put this up on screen. So, change always existed. If change always existed, then time always existed. So, time always existed. If time always existed, then it was never created. If time was never created, then God never created it. If God exists, then he is the creator of time. Therefore, God does not exist. So here's like a little 5-premise syllogism for you.
Yeah. Okay, so you're basically saying that time is eternal.
Yeah.
So what is time?
Time is the dimension along which events exist.
So things have always existed.
Yeah.
There's no end to it. You're saying that there's an infinite timeline with infinite things happening.
Correct.
And how do you prove that?
It's literally proven right there in front of you.
How do you know that has happened?
It's literally right there in front of you.
That's not... No, I understand. You've put in 5 bullet points of things like your argument. That's your argument.
Yeah.
But, like, what empirical evidence do you have that things have always existed?
What's the argument that the evidence would need to be empirical?
Okay, it doesn't have to be empirical.
Sure. Well, here's the non-empirical evidence.
Not empirical. Yeah. But that doesn't show that things have always existed.
It does.
Like, for example, can you tell me what was there before the Big Bang?
Yeah. You know, more universe, energy. But okay, which premise here would you reject?
Time always existed.
That's the conclusion. So you need to reject premise 1 or premise 2. So premise 1 is that change always existed, and premise 2 is that if change always existed, then time always existed.
Well, I do believe that change has always existed, just that God is the arbiter of that change.
Okay, and if change exists, then time exists, so time must have always existed.
I agree that time existed, but why do you say always? What's making you say always?
Because change always existed, and if change exists, then time exists. So time always existed.
I can't lie, this is going I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm actually really trying to understand it. Probably because I'm driving. Hold on, let me pull over 1 second.
Yep. It's against TikTok terms of service. You can't be doing that. How about you? You come right back up after you've pulled over. He said the silly phrase.
Mm-hmm.
He said the no phrase. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff while we wait for the guest to return. Let's read some super chats. It's super chat time. Super chat time. Odom, thanks so much for the cool Corey membership. Welcome, friend. Dr. Fudge, thanks so much for the super chat. Deep-voiced deepity dispenser over here. Better than a shallow-voiced shallow tea dispenser. Fucking got him. Can't speak. Thanks so much for the cool Corey membership. Appreciate it. Nightman comment. Thanks so much for the super chat. Jesus doesn't even come from the line of David, so that prophecy fails for him. I was like frantically Googling that while the dude was yapping. I was like, okay, what line does Mary come from? Where does it say what line Mary comes from? I just wanted to make sure that all my shit was properly crossed, such as to not embarrass myself. But if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. So we go to the very next guest. Oop, okay. Whoa, Nectu, thanks so much for the 10-month Cool Corey membership. That kicks ass. Thanks for inspiring my interest in philosophy. I'm so honored to be able to inspire your interest in philosophy. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. How old are you?
I am 29 years old.
Yep. And what religion?
I'm agnostic, but I had an argument that I wanted to see what your thoughts were on.
Sure.
Cool. So I heard this originally on an Alex O'Connor video, and it was like the most convincing argument I had for being religious. So I think when you look at different, you look at humanity, we have dispositions for things that we need, and there is a real world way to be sufficient for that need. So you get hungry because you need food. You have an urge to find a mate because there's an opposite gender for you to kind of find the companionship, community, all these different things that are like driving us to make these actions that are like innate feelings. But I think all animals have that same feeling, but humans are the only animal that have that feeling for finding a higher power. So if you look at civilization all throughout time,
how do you know
they
that?
all want to, worship either like the sun, some animal, obviously religious figures like that exist now. So why do we have like a very innate, desire to worship or find higher power?
I don't have that desire.
Yeah, maybe you don't, but I think if you look at history, like a lot of civilizations develop some sort of religious, adaptation.
Okay. Well, yeah, go for it, Ems.
I was going to say that how do you know that animals do not have that? Number one. Number two, how do you know that this is not just a characteristic of a being that is able to rationalize its existence in an abstract manner, and animals are not sufficiently intelligent to do so, and if they were sufficiently intelligent to do so, they would do the same. How do you know, like the first question in which they don't, and assuming they don't, how do you know that they wouldn't if they had the same faculties as you do?
Yeah, at least for the first point, I think this is all personal, research, but I think you would want to see some signs of like, looking for a higher power. So like either, some sort of ritualistic activities or kind of looking or deterring to an outside factor for validation. So like,
yeah, sure. Like for example, elephants doing burial rituals. That is a type of ritual. How do you know they don't attribute anything religious to it? You're looking, like for example, again, it is impossible to prove if animals are able to think about a higher power, quote unquote, and even if they don't, again, you could attribute that to just humans having the faculties that are needed to do such a thing. For example, if a sloth does not have philosophical conversations, that doesn't mean that humans were created to have philosophical conversations. It just means the sloth is unable to because it doesn't have the faculties. But if it did have the faculties, it would have the same philosophical conversations.
Okay. But then why is it's like the only disposition that exists that doesn't have like a direct solution for, like when you want to, find companionship, there are usually other, things that could first like satisfy that. But like that need to like find that, higher power, it might be a cognitive thing, but it's also like the driving factor to fill a hole that exists. But that hole doesn't have something to fill it with.
Okay. Well, interestingly enough, well, yeah, I have a yap about this. So what you're describing was described by like a psychoanalyst named Jacques Lacan, and I think I don't know if I'd say that what he's saying is like literally true, but I think that it's like a good I don't know, general overview and like diagnosis that in all of us, there's something called the lack, which is just like the thing where if we have it, we think that we're going to stop desiring things. It's like we imagine ourselves getting like the main thing that we're aiming at in life. For people who construct their desires badly, maybe that thing is like a Lamborghini where they just picture themselves with a Lamborghini and they're driving it and they're like, fuck yeah. And they're so satisfied and they don't want anything else but that Lamborghini. And it's all an illusion that if they were to actually get the Lamborghini, they would be maybe just a little bit happier than they are right now. They're still going to desire things, but in their mind, when they picture themselves, they don't desire things. So it's in that sense like this unfillable lack, this thing that you can't fill. So instead, what you should do is find something that you can pursue for the rest of your life and then pursue it, something that provides new novel experiences every single day. And then just do that. For example, I pursue truth, and that's so broad that I could never know everything there is to know. It's impossible. I won't even scratch the surface. But every day I can learn new things, and it's novel and it's interesting, and I can just keep on doing that until I die. And that's great.
And I wanted to add, I apologize, guest. The point is that I believe what you just said, like before Ian spoke about the lack, was that why do we look for something greater? Why do we look for something that has done so and so? I mean, human society is by nature hierarchical. So you have like leaders, you have blah, blah, blah. And you always assume there's something higher than the person that you go to. So if you go to a local city clerk, there's a person above them, and a person above them, and a person above them, until you get to the highest person. And then who's above that? You would assume somebody else is above that, because again, we operate in a hierarchical like sense. And also the agent bias, which Ian has spoke about a lot, is that you think that everything that has happened must have been caused by an agent, when it doesn't have to be.
Okay, I think I have some thoughts on that one, but to go back to the first premise, so like you're saying, like there's a desire that could be filled with different needs and wants, and maybe some of it's hedonistic or whatever.
We think we're going to be able to fill it, but we never are. If you set your desire as like something that you can actually obtain, instead you should desire something that you can't obtain.
Yeah, but I think maybe slightly different than that. It's like religion does fill that hole for these people. Like it is that real thing that
I agree.
And I think you might be kind of making it into a bigger basket of like you need to find purpose, and that's what it is. But I think instead of an individual person trying to find purpose, I'm also looking at it like a more civilization level. Why do civilizations always tend to finding a way to like ritualistically finding answers to a higher power? And it's like on an individual level, people want to find purpose, and they could find that by learning and by philosophy. But like there is no like there's no like larger civilization of just philosophers who are all atheists some point in time that existed that were like prominent. It always seems like from, you know, hunter-gatherers all the way to modern day technology, usually people in communities opted to finding a way to, you know, opt to looking and seeking answers from a higher power, which seems like a little bit different than individual people finding individual purposes in life.
Yeah, it's because they wanted to explain things. You know, if you look at the correspondence between a religion that exists at a time and is like widespread throughout a culture, you're going to find like huge correlations between that and whatever roles they had towards explaining the world around them. You know, very often, and you can trace this through the history of Christianity, that Christianity draws directly from concepts that were developed by the Greek philosophers that had become widespread throughout that region, and they incorporate that into their God concept. You know, Aristotle defends the idea of this like perfectly simple being, you know, the unmoved mover, and then they incorporate that, the Christians incorporate that into their, you know, Christian belief system basically as soon as he got translated into Latin in like the 1200s. You know, it's the sorts of things that people believe in are based on the sorts of information that they have access to. And when they aren't sure how to explain something, they'll posit a magical creature to explain it. That's why they said that Zeus controls the thunder and the lightning, and that Poseidon controls the tides.
Yeah, and I understand why people search for religion. I understand like that's why religion exists, right? But I'm more thinking like why do we look for like why is there that need to fill that
There
with
isn't.
religion? So it's like, well,
There
I think like when you like back in the day, like tribal people, they looked at the sun, you know, there's no question behind it. They just looked at something massive and they thought, this is something higher than me. I'm not trying to answer a question here or find some meaning in it. I'm just in awe of this thing that exists. And now I just want to become more ritualistic. It doesn't seem like it's answering a question. It's like this weird innate disposition that humans have collectively had throughout history that's like, I need to opt away, give up some of myself to something greater. And that's kind of like my biggest thing.
Well, so clearly that's not something that's like genetic. That's something that's cultural insofar as I don't have that and lots of people don't have that. So it couldn't possibly be genetic. It must come from the culture.
Well, I mean, some people are asexual. Doesn't mean that humans across, like on average, don't, you know, attribute this current need to procreate. You know, you would say in general, people, you know, and animals and everything want to find companionship and want to reproduce. But just because an individual case of someone who doesn't have the disposition isn't like a counter argument that that is a disposition that exists in the species.
But the problem is that people don't go from being like sexual to asexual usually, but all the time people go from being like atheist to religious or religious to atheist. It seems like that category is like way more malleable, and it's also massively based on like, well, for example, you could look to like a place like China, for example, where basically religion doesn't exist. Like there are some state-approved religions and there are some wacko cults, but basically the average person there is an atheist, and they don't need like some higher thing for them. You know, it just doesn't. I don't know. It's weird. Like if you're saying that humans just have this disposition naturally, it's very strange that so many societies are able to do without.
Yeah, I think they've grown out of it. Like they had logic and reasoning to be like, okay, this is not something I need. It's kind of like, you know, having an itch. Like I know I shouldn't be scratching my mosquito bite, but as a toddler, as like my innate drive of like instinct, I'm gonna scratch the hell out of it. And then like you get older and be like, all right, it's better for me after I've learned and grew and adopted some education to just let it be and let it, you know, pass normally. And I think certain societies, obviously China, had religious figures and philosophy. And then as time going on, they've adopted to be more, you know, pragmatic and scientific with their approach. And maybe a lot of people have adopted more an atheistic mindset. I just think like upon its inception, on its more natural, instinctual, you know, primal like feeling, it's like I have this hole that needs to be filled with a higher power. That's kind of like what I'm getting. I feel like
But
I've
that's
had
just
that a
not
lot of
true. Like, okay, if that's true, then how could you possibly explain the fact that there are so many people that that's just not true of? Like, if the number of if there was like an entire society of people who were asexual, then I actually might question whether or not we have a natural disposition towards, having sex, or whether or not this is like a cultural thing. Similarly, how could you possibly say that this is a natural disposition if there's entire societies of people that don't believe in God or any higher power?
Well, I feel like, is there a society that started off not believing in it? Because, like, China began as a religious society, and then, or civilization, it went through shifts and changes, and now it has become a predominantly atheistic, as in, like, that natural desire, that connection that made people form a community has not needed to be as, stringent, because people have educated themselves and, went beyond their innate instinct and started using their minds more broadly, kind of like a conversation we're having now. But, like, when
By
it first
higher,
started,
well, let's just get clear. By higher power, what do you mean?
just anything. It doesn't have to,
But
as similar to God as I can make it without being like a specific religious figure.
you're
Like
going
the
to need to be
sun,
more
the
specific
moon,
than that. Because, like, I believe in the sun and the moon. When you say higher
as some
power,
sort of
yeah.
like as a that has some sort of identity. Like it's some sort of energetic or powerful, or some sort of, it has a mind of its own. It's like some sort of consciousness that has an effect for a purpose on humanity.
Well, I mean, for example, there's like lots of, for example, like Buddhism doesn't believe in gods. So, I mean, how would you account for that?
Well, I guess there's different types of Buddhism, right? There's some that have like messianic figures and magic and shit like that, and there's some that are more just like on a personal level. But
Yeah.
I think, well, I think at least that's kind of like filling in that same. I think it's adjacent to that. That's like on a personal level. There's that hole. That's like me as a person. How do I become more fulfilled on a spiritual level, or like on a mental? What is the purpose of being alive? That's kind of like what that question is answering. But I think, like, when tribal people just looked at the sun and thought that they were lesser than it, and it had some purpose, and it affected them, and it needed them to worship it and perform rituals, I think it's different than I, on an individual level, need to find purpose in myself. It just felt like I need to look at something higher than myself and understand it's greater than me and it has a purpose, and I need to kind of give it praise. Like, I feel like that somehow existed. Maybe I'm wrong, but from my looks at civilization, it seems like there is some sort of consistency where civilizations and communities always try to look to something else higher than themselves.
So that would be imposing like an extremely like foreign framework onto Buddhism. Like, kind of the entire point of Buddhism is that there is no self. In fact, kind of there are no categories. That every time you try to assert a self, it's just your ego trying to recreate itself and give you an identity. But in fact, there is none. There's nothing that makes you you. There's nothing that makes the chair the chair. Everything is constantly in flux, and all these categories are fake. So the notion that they're doing that to try to get like personal fulfillment, like the Buddhist in their own framework would completely reject this.
Well, isn't the goal of Buddhism to reach enlightenment? Like, is that not some sort of personal goal?
It's from the perspective of the Buddhist monk, no, they don't believe in the self.
True, but like, yeah, I guess my research on Buddhism isn't, I can't explain exactly what the goal is on like how they feel, but I know they don't have the self. The ego is kind of split off from it, but it still seems like they need to achieve some sort of enlightenment. So it is some sort of personal development that needs to be done, whether it's through meditation, things that they need to do, and if they don't do them, they will not be fulfilled. Like, if they,
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely like supernatural components to Buddhism, but the idea that there's like some sort of like mind that's responsible for it, I don't think Buddhists would accept that sort of framing.
Oh, no, for sure, not that. I think, yeah, that's an exception. I don't think that is like. I think that's kind of like the filling the hole for purpose. But like the wanting to find a higher power is like almost a different hole. I think they're very, very similar. But one doesn't need to have, like, the one we're looking for higher power isn't about finding a purpose or fulfilling a purpose. Like, my dog has the itch to just run around in a circle for 5 minutes and then stop. Like it doesn't have a rhyme or reason. It's just some weird itch that he needs to scratch in his head. Same as like people have like ritualistic activities that don't have like scientific or philosophy or like concrete backgrounds. It's like they want to pray to the rain, they want to pray to the sun, they want to do all these things, and it seems like it's kind of innate. But
it's a coping mechanism. You know, we love seeing patterns where we don't see patterns evenly. You know, we remember when we form like hypotheses, like I hypothesize that if I do the rain dance that it'll rain, and then if it happens to rain, then it will be ingrained in your mind forever that actually the rain dance does work and it will make it rain. You know, this is just kind of flaws of human psychology.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'll think about that some more. I think what I'm trying to say is a little bit different, but I want to maybe refine my argument a bit more, and maybe we could continue the conversation in the future.
Sure. Okay.
Cool. Thanks for talking, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. Hey, thanks so much for coming on up. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Oop, fuck. Okay. What's going on with stream on YouTube?
It glitched briefly, but it's back now.
It's back?
Yes.
Okay. People are saying...
They just need to reload.
Okay. Wait, what is it? When it says host... Oh, okay, sure. Okay. Gosh. Speaking of reincarnation. Whoa, cool beans. Thanks so much for the money gun. I appreciate you. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. We got beyond the narrative. Hey, how's it going? Oh, fuck, he's gone again. No, that's so sad. Maybe I could yap. I'll yap for like 2 minutes, and then we'll see if he comes back. If you wanna learn more about philosophy, but you don't really know where to get started, we're doing a reading group in my book club. It's Discord. A reading group in my book club. Jesus fucking Christ. We're doing a reading group in the Discord. If you're in the Discord, or it's discord.gg/allegedlyian. It's tonight, 8 p.m. EST. It's in 20 minutes. It's probably too late to listen to the audiobook, but I'm leading the discussion on Michael Huemer's Knowledge, Reality, and Value, Chapter 13 on metaethics. We're going to hear all about non-cognitivism and subjectivism, and all of the views that one might be able to take. It's discord.gg/allegedlyian. I'd love to see you there. But I mean, at this point, you've either read the book or you haven't. So you also, for the future chapters, you don't need to read all the chapters leading up to it. You just need to read the chapter. You just need to read the chapter, the one chapter. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going, Void? Void. 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 Yeah, I feel like I'm speaking into the void.
Hello there, how are you?
Doing well, how are you?
I'm well. So I was wondering if you still had that 5-point argument that you used a little earlier.
Yes, I do. Wait, first of all, how old are you?
I am 29.
Yep, and what religion?
Catholic.
Okay, yep.
All
let's.
right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the 5 points again are just premise 1, change always existed. Premise 2, if change always existed, then time always existed. Thus, time always existed. If time always existed, then it was never created. If time was never created, then God never created it. If God exists, then he's the creator of time. Therefore, God does not exist.
Okay. So I would argue that 1 is false, 2 is false, and also a non sequitur.
A wait, okay. So I guess like the easiest claim first. Do you think this is a non sequitur?
I don't think that an abstract concept existing follows to time existing.
So, okay, a non sequitur is saying that it doesn't follow like a valid inference rule. So to be clear, like you think that this is a valid inference rule, right? Because that's all that 1 and 2 are doing.
I don't think that, well, 1, I don't think change exists in and of itself, which I guess is why I would think that 2 is a non sequitur.
So, okay, when you say non sequitur, I just think it's important that we're using terms in like a way that represents their actual meaning. So a non sequitur refers to the idea that the conclusion doesn't follow from the premises.
Correct.
So you think that time always existed does not follow from change always existed. If change always existed, then time always existed?
More specifically, I don't believe that if change always existed, then time always existed. I don't think that part follows.
Okay. So you're just saying that you disagree with the premise. You're not saying that there's like a structural problem with the argument. You're just saying that you don't think that it follows from change always existing that time always exists.
Yes, and if it doesn't follow, then I would describe it as a non sequitur.
Okay.
I don't see. Can you demonstrate the connection between the two?
Well, okay. So I mean, first things first. Actually, yeah. I guess we can. I suppose I'll drop this, but I mean, just for reference, a non sequitur is not when you reject a conditional. A non sequitur is when the conclusion doesn't follow from the premises. A single premise cannot be a non sequitur. A non sequitur is like an argument wherein the conclusion doesn't follow from the premise. But okay, putting that aside, so change always existed. Here's why I think that.
Okay.
If change did not always exist, then a changeless state would change into a changing state. If a changeless state changes into a changing state, then a change occurs in a changeless state. Change cannot occur in a changeless state.
So my reply to that would be that change does not exist in and of itself outside of pocket change. It is a inherent quality of a reality. So you do need the matter or something to change for change to exist.
Okay, so which premise here would you be rejecting then? Like of the highlighted ones, because from 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, premise 1 follows.
In this, it is assuming that change is something that indeed exists in and of itself.
Which premise are you rejecting?
As an emergent
I'm a bit confused which premise you would be disagreeing with.
I suppose all the premises.
You disagree that, for example, change cannot occur in a changeless state? You think a change can occur in a changeless state?
I am disagreeing with the concept that change exists in and of itself.
Okay, but can change occur in a changeless state?
That is like asking if there's a North Pole without a world.
I don't think so. Would it be a contradiction if change both existed and didn't exist?
It would resolve into change existing. Change would emerge out of that.
But is it possible for change to both exist and not exist?
Not simultaneously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You would have the first change, in which case then change would exist as an abstract concept.
Yes.
But change does not originate of itself.
I don't think I'm making the claim that it does.
Of something that happens.
Yeah, I don't think I'm making the claim that change exists of itself. Like, I mean,
The
unfortunately,
concept
there's
that
just
change
no
exists
premise that's making that claim.
is that. It's the
Well,
first. Change always existed.
whoa,
If
sorry.
there's
So
nothing to
the claim that
change,
change
how
always
does change
existed
exist?
is compatible with the idea that change superimposes itself onto other things. So it could be
So
true that all
change
change
exists
is like
as an
events,
actual.
and having events that are different from each other. That could totally be true, but change would still exist in that way. In the same way, like
So
electricity is just, electrons, but I would still say electricity exists.
yes, but electrons are real.
So is
They're
electricity.
tangible. Exactly.
Yeah.
But change is not a thing in and of itself. It is a descriptive term.
Okay. I mean, you don't think change exists?
Can you show me a change? Like what physically
Literally,
exists as a change?
yeah, like I'm saying a series of words, it changes from one word to the next word. Every time a new
Right.
word comes out of my mouth, that is a change that you are experiencing.
Yes, that is something that I experience.
Yes.
But that is a subjective experience which needs a subject to experience it.
Okay, but I would still, so what would still be the case is that you would still have changes insofar as there are things that are different from one state of affairs to the next.
Okay. So question.
Yes.
Can change in a timeless, matterless, spaceless universe exist?
I don't think so.
Okay. So does it then exist on its own? Or is it deriving its existence off of something else?
My view would be that change is supervened onto events.
So change acts on events. It is not the result of the events acting.
No, it is a result. It's like something that we would superimpose onto events. Like we would say that there are things that happen, and when a thing happens and there's like a difference from like a state of affairs previous, then at that point we have a change.
Okay. Would it then follow that if there is a first change, that you go from a changeless state to a state that contains changing?
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, so then you agree.
No.
That's literally that is literally my first premise.
That's the
or
exact
my
opposite of what
1.1.
you argue. You argue that you cannot go from a changeless state to a changeless state.
That is literally premise 1.1, the one that you disagreed with earlier. I don't know if you're aware of that. The idea that if change comes into existence, that there's a state without change that then changes into a state with change.
Yes,
that's literally the premise that you rejected earlier. Are you now accepting that premise?
Always.
Wait, are you now accepting the premise that you
always.
previously rejected?
Okay. So if you
That was a
start
yes
with
or
a
no
changeless
question, by the way.
environment, is a yes or no question?
Yeah. Are you now accepting the premise that you previously rejected? Because previously you said you disagreed with 1.1, but then you just described 1.1 to me, that if change comes into existence, then there's some state without change, and it becomes a state with change.
Yes, but that is not always. I did not use the word always. You're
I'm sorry,
using the word
where
always.
I'm not saying that it's always there. I'm saying if change did not always exist, then a changeless state would change into a changing state.
Yes, and for that to be true, premise 1 needs to be false.
Okay, so what's going on here is a proof by contradiction. We're presupposing that change did not always exist to derive a contradiction from change not always existing, and then we're arriving based on that contradiction at the conclusion that it did always exist. So for example, we could say, if it rained, then the mail will be late, but the mail's not late. Therefore, it couldn't have possibly rained because there would be a contradiction.
Those don't actually impact each other, though.
What? You don't believe in proofs by contradiction?
Is that...
It's like a formal mathematical term.
Yes, but for that to actually work, your underlying proofs need to be true.
Yes.
And in this case, the concept of change as something that exists beyond time and space...
Okay, back to the top of the dialogue tree, I guess.
It's not true.
I never made that claim. You're strawmanning the position.
So what does always existed mean then?
It means that there's no point wherein change does not exist. There's no state of affairs where it doesn't exist.
So there's
So
no
wait,
first
I'm
change.
sorry. Let's go in like a linear fashion here. So earlier you
Okay.
disagreed with 1.1. Do you now agree with 1.1?
1.1 is on itself true.
Okay.
But
you agree with
specifically
1.1.
without the word always.
I'm sorry. Wait. So if it did not exist, if something doesn't always exist, if something did not exist, then it would be true that it did not always exist.
Sorry, the always in the first point.
In premise 1?
Yes.
Sorry. So, okay, I think you're a bit confused as to the logic here.
Okay.
I'm giving an argument for premise 1 on the basis of these 3 supporting premises.
Okay.
So if these 3 supporting premises are true, then premise 1 is also true. So premise 1.2, if a changeless state changes into a changing state, then a change occurs in a changeless state. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So you agree with 1.1, you agree with 1.2. Can change occur in a changeless state?
It has been shown to be possible.
A change can occur in a changeless state.
Yeah, because we
Okay.
have shown that if a changeless state changes, then it becomes a changing state.
Okay, I'll give you the contradiction with that.
Okay.
So this is 1.3.1. If change occurs in a changeless state, then change would exist in a changeless state.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Also, I do want to just circle
Do you
back.
agree with that, or do you disagree with that?
Before I answer that, can I go back to an earlier thing that we had discussed?
No,
you
let's
had
get clear on this.
conceded that change leads to
Wait,
changes
sorry, let's just get clear on this. I don't know why we're pivoting to something new.
No, I'm going back to your second premise.
Let's not go to the second premise. Let's stick with the first one.
Okay.
Sure. So premise 1.3.1, if change occurs in a changeless state, then change would exist in a changeless state. Do you agree with that?
No.
You don't think that if change occurs, then change exists? You think change can occur without existing?
You have the existence of a changeless state. You have a change, at which point change becomes to exist.
If change
but it does
occurs,
not
does change
retroactively
exist?
do anything. You still have a state where change did not exist.
Is that a yes or a no?
You have a first change.
Is that a yes or a no?
To whether or not I agree with the premise?
No. If change occurs, does change exist?
Yes.
Okay. So if a change occurs in a changeless state, then change would exist in that changeless state.
A change would have occurred.
And if change
Say
occurs, then
change
change
exists
exists.
Is not, because change does not exist.
But you agreed earlier that if change occurs, then change exists.
Change as an abstract concept exists.
Yes.
Change in and of itself still does not exist.
Sure. So as an abstract concept in this changeless state, change would exist.
Correct.
Okay. So then you agree with this premise.
Sure.
Change does not exist in a changeless state. Do you agree with that? Oh, well, then you just agree with the premise 1.3 that change cannot occur in a changeless state because it leads to a contradiction.
I don't think you are understanding my actual argument. I'm arguing that change as an abstract concept does not have an actual physical existence and therefore cannot predicate the existence of something that does.
That's really great. Unfortunately, logic necessitates this conclusion by, what would this be, modus tollens?
Okay.
So the inference rule here...
So you have a valid argument, but you have a correct argument.
You agree with both of the premises. So if it's valid and you agree with the premises, then you must agree with the conclusion. It's, well, first of all, you would have to agree that it's sound because you agree with the premises.
Soundness and correctness are different, my friend.
Is it a sound argument?
So far, it is sound.
So
if you
if an argument is sound, then that means the conclusion is true.
No. If all the premises are true, then the conclusion must be true.
Yes.
Your underlying premise is false.
What's the premise that you disagree with?
That an abstract concept exists in and of itself.
Okay, I'm not making the claim that it exists in and of itself.
Then
I'm making the claim that if change occurs...
equal
It's
to
literally
anything
on the
existing.
screen demonstrated to you. You agree with the premises. You agree that it follows a valid inference rule. You must agree with the conclusion. You're literally telling me that it's a valid argument and that you agree with the premises. The
No,
conclusion
I'm
just
saying
follows.
that the premise as okay. So, do you know what exist means?
Yeah, that it has being.
Yes. Does change have being?
Yeah, it supervenes onto events.
That's not its own being, though.
Okay, it still has being. Electricity has being, even though it
It borrows
supervenes
being.
onto electrons.
It has no being of its own. An electricity does have being at a molecular atomic level.
Yeah, because it supervenes onto other things, and likewise, change has being insofar as it supervenes onto events.
You could look at the charge of particles and see electricity as a physical phenomenon.
And you can look around you and see the world changing.
Yes, but not as a. There's no. Can you show me an atom of change?
I'm not making the claim that there's an atom of change. Did I say that?
Okay.
Or are you strawmanning my position?
Does change exist?
Yes.
But you cannot show me like an actual thing of change.
There you go. One thing of change coming right up.
Perfect. All right. I believe we're done then.
Okay.
Unless you would like to go into and show, because earlier you did concede point 2.
No, that if change always existed, then time always existed.
Yeah. How do they connect?
Yeah. So change supervenes onto events. Events are in time. So if change exists, then that means that events would exist. And if events exist, then time exists.
So there's no such thing as a first event.
Yes, that is my argument. Yeah.
Okay. Is that scientifically defensible?
It's
Or even
philosophically defensible.
mainstream?
Wait, sorry, did I make the claim that it was scientifically defensible?
For something to be true, it can't just be philosophically defensible. It has to actually exist. And when it comes to
So it needs to be empirically
of
measurable to be
existence,
true?
it has to be Yes. When you're talking about physical things, they do have to exist.
I agree. Like, if a physical thing exists, then it exists. I'm making a philosophical claim here. And if your standard is empirical
Right, but
evidence, by the way,
time is a physical
this
property.
defeats God. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Where's the empirical evidence for God? Where can I empirically observe God?
This is not you're arguing. Okay, so let me get this straight. Your argument, whether or not it is true, disproves God.
Based on your standard of evidence, the one that you just put forward, that would disprove God.
So I'm talking about time, and I want to stay on
time is
topic. I don't want to get derailed into a different topic because I just
time
want to
is
stick to
metaphysical.
this. Yes. No. Time is physical.
You don't think time is a nature?
exists. Time is something that exists, and it is interconnected with space in something called space-time.
Okay, sounds good. Do you think it has a nature?
I think that's a philosophical question.
Yes, we're doing philosophy right now.
Did we specify that this is for the philosophical proof that God does not exist?
Yeah, this is my philosophical proof that God does not exist. I've never claimed that this is a scientific proof.
Philosophical concepts exist outside of its connection to observable reality?
Yeah.
Okay. At what point does this become different to you than arguing for any other supernatural existence?
I don't even know what that question's trying to ask.
So you're saying that things will exist beyond their ability to be physically proven, correct?
Yes.
So at that point,
it's the question of
what's
whether or not it
different
can
than
be.
theism?
It's a question of whether or not it can be philosophically demonstrated.
Do you think that something can be philosophically demonstrated that is not in fact true?
No.
So would you say that the underlying premises have to be true in reality?
Yes.
Okay. In reality, time exists as a thing. It is something
Okay.
that we move through, like we move through space.
Okay.
And that is the theory of relativity. So you are arguing that an abstract thing that does not have a physical existence leads to there must be a physical existence.
I think it does have an existence insofar as it supervenes onto events, as I've said.
I don't think you can demonstrate that. And I think that's...
that change
Platonism?
supervenes onto events?
Is that Platonism?
No.
Okay. What way would you show that abstract concepts exist?
What's the argument that it's an abstract concept?
Change?
Yeah.
Do you think change exists
Wait,
physically?
sorry, you made a
gone through
claim
this one.
just now. You've strawmanned the position a couple of times, so I think what I'm going to do is just ask you for the argument.
I think I've expressed my argument. Change does
so
not actually
sorry,
exist
let me type this
in
down.
and of itself.
Let me type this down. Okay, so change is an abstract concept.
Abstract concepts do not exist in and of themselves.
That's the conclusion, is that it's an abstract concept. So what's your argument?
Saying that it's not an abstract concept.
Okay, is premise one you're saying that it's not an abstract concept?
No.
Okay, what's premise one?
Sorry, let's start over. Premise one, change is an abstract concept.
That's the conclusion? This is circular?
You can remove the second, change is an abstract concept.
That's the conclusion. This is the thing you're trying to argue for.
Okay.
I'm trying to get like some reason to think that.
All right, let me grab a pen and paper too.
Yeah.
Okay. What is physical exists on its own, has a being. Or what exists has a being.
Physical. Yep.
To have a being is to exist.
Yep.
Or we can rephrase this as to have your own being.
So are you saying what is physical has its own being?
Correct. Or what exists has its own being.
What exists has its own being. That this is just saying that what exists doesn't supervene onto anything else.
It doesn't need to not supervene. It just needs to exist without relying on the existence of something else.
Okay, so then you would say electricity doesn't exist because it relies on the existence of electrons?
Electricity is a collection of electrons.
Yes, so electricity doesn't exist without electrons.
Correct.
So electricity doesn't exist.
If there was no electrons, we would not experience really anything, I think. I think that's a fundamental building block of the universe.
So you would say that electricity does not exist?
No, because it's individual electrons can carry an electrical charge.
Sure, but electricity is like a thing composed of electrons does not exist.
It's a collection.
Okay. Sure, and I'm saying like, change is a collection of events. It's like a difference across events.
Mm-hmm. But you would need two events for change to exist.
Yes, I agree.
So I guess we're going back to whether or not you can have a first event, which under the current model, we do have a first event.
Okay, that's not true, but...
You don't believe in the Big Bang Theory?
I do believe in the Big Bang Theory. You're misrepresenting it, unfortunately.
Okay.
So according to a recent survey of physicists...
I would like to respond to you saying that I'm misrepresenting it.
Whoa, yeah, I need to demonstrate that first. That was just the claim. I'm giving you the evidence that you're misrepresenting it. So this is a survey of recent physicists, or the recent survey of physicists look at the 68% column. The Big Bang is a theory that says that the universe evolved from a hot, dense state that says nothing about whether there was an absolute beginning of time or not. So it's not claiming to be the first event.
Can you show me where you're getting this?
Yeah, this comes from Phil Halper.
Mm-hmm.
And let me find the name of the other person. Sure. Okay. This is titled Copenhagen Survey on Black Holes and Fundamental Physics.
All right, I have found. Let me see if I can find this. Do you have the page number? It's only 18 pages, so I'll be able to find it.
Let me. Yeah, this is page 10. Also, I'd hate to cut this off early because I'm enjoying the conversation, but I do have a book club right now that I might need to go to.
No worries.
Do you want to come back at a different day? We talked about the did we talk about the resurrection the other day?
We did.
Okay, yeah. I thought you sounded familiar. But listen, I appreciate the conversation. Let's finish this sometime soon.
Sure, anytime.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's book club time. All right, I gotta go. Molly, do you have
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Ems,
Have a
thanks so much for
beautiful day,
spending
okay?
this time. It was so much fun.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
All right. Grimlock, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you, Grimlock. Okay. Other than that, I love everybody. Have a great time. See you all later. Join the book club. You should have all joined the book club. I'll beat the fuck out of you if you don't join the book club. I'll hit you with my fucking car. I swear to God I will. God's real, and he's going to be angry at you if you don't join the fucking book club.